Hello.
Hello, hello, and welcome to this edition of the Sparx Tribune Report. My name is Devin Jones, and joining me today is Janet Mullen. She's a commentator with Left Side Chat and content creator for Progressive Action Network. She's known on Twitter as Lumpy Louise. How are you doing, Miss Mullen?
I am doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite all right. So,
Hi.
why did you pick the name Lumpy Louise? Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes. I all right. So Lumpy Louise actually was a character that I created for the rare disease I suffer, which is Duckham's disease or a.k.a. Um, and it was to bring awareness to the disease. And I just want to mention here too that February 28th is Rare Disease Day, so just watch out for that and support people with rare diseases because we need it. And so anyhow, Lumpy Louise, I created to bring this forth, and at the time I was supporting single payer. And pushing stuff like that. And I was also kind of a patient advocate. I was helping people go to places where they could get diagnosis for this, but I also started, was involved in doing chats with people that were chronically ill. So I became more and more convinced that we needed a better medical system. So Lumpy Louise is my middle name. My real name is Janet Mullen, and Louise is my middle name. So the character is Lumpy Louise, and I was told when I was in Boston for Bernie that I couldn't go hard on Hillary on the site. So use your personal Twitter account. So that's how Lumpy Louise became basically political.
I see. So, I imagine that the personal experiences like that would help to drive, help to be a driving factor in, like you were saying, your push for single payer healthcare and activism on that front.
Yeah, so for me, what happened to me is I went broke. I lost the home that I was living in. Lucky for me, I have parents that, and I grew up in, middle class America, and they still have their home and stuff like that. So I still live here. I worked. I was a workaholic. I was crazy. I worked 80 to 100 hours a week, which probably wasn't helping
Right.
the disorder, but that's just what I do, and that's what I kind of, even now that I'm disabled, that's kind of what I continue to try to do, to get involved and do as much as I can. A couple of years ago, I was more involved out in the field, but now I'm more homebound, so I try to do as much as I can
I see.
from my bed.
Right, certainly, certainly. So could you describe for us though, what is Derkham's disease, its effects, or basic?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So Ducham's disease is actually just recently they always call them fat disorders. It was actually it was actually Woodrow Wilson's neurologist that actually found out what Ducham's disease or first described it. And what happens is the name is adiposis dolorosa is what he gave it, and his name was Francis Derkham. That's why it's called Derkham's disease. But what happens is you would get lipomas, so fatty tumors, in your in your fat layer, and they'd be painful. Where
Hmm.
lipomas aren't supposed to be painful. I will tell you from my own experience, you feel all different things. There can be pain with some of them. There can be itching. There can be, I have hundreds of them, and I probably could tell you, and I've said this before, I can probably tell you where 50 are just by describing, like, feeling the sensation in my body. So what happens, what they recently found out is it's all to do with your lymphatic system going faulty. So what happens, I can't get rid of toxins. So the fat is actually a defense. It taking the toxins, it's building. It's actually the fat gets diseased and builds around it and creates the lipoma. So what they were finding out, they were cutting into some lipomas. They'd have cancer cells. They'd have other cells with toxic material in them too. So it's not in. But now my system is in overdrive, and so it's just constantly any toxin I get it wants to create these lipomas.
I see. Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that describes it well for everyone, but it's considered a fairly rare disease. It's really hard to get a diagnosis of because it is all on just basing that you have lipomas and you have pain.
Right. So,
and but there's so much more to it.
Right. So basically, these lymphomas are storage cells for built-up toxins that the body rejects, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that information. I was just wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about that.
Thank you very much, because that was basically my whole persona of going online was to push out what darkness disease is, and it's morphed into something different. But I like to get back to my roots and let people know why I got involved in all this.
Oh, that's good. So if you wanted to talk about some electoral politics.
Sure. What do you want to start on?
Well, I was going to ask, since Sanders emerged as the most popular politician in the U.S., basically, from being a much lesser-known candidate prior to 2015, mainstream outlets have described what they refer to as a falling away of Sanders' progressive base. Do you think that's an accurate description, or would you describe his support being just as strong as it was in say, the height of 2015?
I think his support is actually stronger now. I think in 2015 we were struggling because people didn't know his name. I think it became more and more relevant through 2016, through the primaries, that people started, hearing what he was saying, because he basically has said the same stuff for 40 years. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
People, the more they were listening to him, and he just had a consistent rhetoric on, what policies he feels that we need to move forward in this country. I think a lot of people kind of appreciated that, because we've moved away from that. We've moved away from talking about the policies, and it seems like it's more like a team sport. You know what I mean? And it's always the Dems versus the Republicans, but some of it, things bleed together in that. And what we need to look at is policy and progressive policy. We need very, very progressive policy right now to move forward, especially with the environment and climate change and stuff like that. So.
Sure. And you mentioned politics being like a team sport, and I've noticed some rhetoric from mainstream punditry to that regard, calling down Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example, for not being a team player. And
yeah, I mean, they don't want dissent. They don't want people to have different opinions. They want it to be one voice, and that's not what politics is. You can't. Not everyone has the same life experience. I mean, we all live in the same country, but we all have different experiences, and we all feel the need that we need certain policies to help us, and and that's they try to take away from that. They want to tell you what instead
right.
of you figuring out what you need.
Certainly.
So
he's implied that his pick for VP, his running mate, is likely to be a woman, and likely to be a woman of color. Do you suspect he'll pick Nina Turner, or do you think he's going to try to merge his campaign with Tulsi Gabbard's? Do you have a prediction there?
I have a few thoughts, and I agree on the woman. I think there's a few different ways he could go. He could go Warren. I know that they've gotten close over the years, with her being in Massachusetts and stuff, but I don't know if he would. I don't know if that's probably. I mean, if he wins, they're going to try to push someone even further centrist on him. But with, I mean, he has, like, there's other people, like, you have Tara Samples, so there are other people that support him, even like Abrams and stuff like that, which Abrams is a little further over the center, too. But with Tulsi, Tulsi to me, like, I don't know, you know I'm not, like, a big Tulsi fan, but I mean, my big problem with her is just, my biggest problem with her is the Modi connection. So she can describe that off, but she's been, I'm actually, I was kind of about her campaign, but in the last week or so, I've been reading more up on what she's pushing, and I like that she's been touching a lot on the environmental stuff, except for she's not going to endorse the Green New Deal, which I don't know how I feel about that. She's saying it just doesn't go far enough, and I get that, but I think we need to do something now. So I'm hoping that she's in there writing policy herself. That one of the big things that she was talking about this week, and it kind of back into where I kind of got into politics was I got kind of political about the Monsanto stuff because of the toxins and the Roundup and stuff like that, because it ties into my disease. And so she started bringing up, there was a report that came out about the insect decline. I know this is not exciting stuff. We talked about it on the show.
The what decline? I didn't hear you.
The insects are declining, so their population is declining, which kind of shows, okay, we're in a mass extinction. We're heading towards mass extinction, and the ecosystems are going to be off, and we don't even know. Like, they can't really get a whole grasp of how far it has come. I mean, right now they're saying it's about 41%. The population has been in decline, and that a lot of that has to do with the pesticides that we put out, and even like the Roundup and stuff like that we put. That's not really a pesticide, but a herbicide, but that's still killing off some of that ecosystem. Yeah, so I mean, it's been ruining the ecosystem. So I like that she has a clear vision on that. I want to see her push that more, and I want to see her come up with something that would be better than the Green New Deal.
Right, and perhaps she, being in a position like she is in the House of Representatives, has a good opportunity to provide those specifics and amendments to any bills that would be written. She's in a position of power to contribute positively to that.
Yeah. So I mean, she has. The only other thing, like, with her that is just a little, like, everyone says that she's anti-war, and she's not anti-war. Like, and I look at that as, like, people were saying that about Trump, and Trump's not anti-war, and then people get upset. So people need to understand, if you support Tulsi, she's not exactly anti-war. Bernie's not anti-war. You know what I mean? Like, they're still going to have, they're still going to not give up on if they have to use drones, or if they have to get into a war, or forced into a war, or Lord knows. So that like, they leave that door open, which, I mean, I get it. They're politicians. They kind of have to leave the door open, but we're the ones creating most of these wars.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about Tulsi Gabbard, that leads right into what I was going to bring up next. And so, but you're hitting on that right now. You don't view Tulsi Gabbard then as any sort of a weakness when it comes to the Sanders campaign, due to her, at least I'll say, notoriety for being anti-war.
No, I mean, I don't. I think that Tulsi, like, there's people that support Tulsi that really like her, and they still, they either has moved away from Bernie, or, and it's just their own personal thing. I mean, if they're going to support Tulsi, that's good. And I view Tulsi there as kind of what Bernie. So in 2015, Bernie got into the election. He didn't think he was going to go as far as he did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wanted to go as far, and all the people that supported him wanted to. Mm-hmm. But I mean, in the middle of the summer in 2015, we were all worried about, just get his name out there, get his policies out there, because we need to push the Democrats to actually adopt these policies. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of where we were coming at it until the rally started. And when the rally started and they were so big, it was like, oh, wait, I think he has a chance here. So, we were pushing him, and now we had a good foothold, and people were actually listening to him and actually liking him. I think that Tulsi has a way here of taking certain policies like that, like being, more articulate with what what we need to do with the environment and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If she can put this together and push people towards a more progressive environmental policy, that would be excellent. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course she's probably in it to win it, but I think she also knows that she's just moving the conversation.
Just trying to be a voice in the wind, you suspect?
Yeah, I think she. I mean, she knows that she's she's not a household name, so that
right.
There's that to overcome. Where it was for Bernie before, but even so, Bernie even had a little bit more recognition than Tulsi, I think, when he ran. Because I think he started at like 2 or 3%, and quickly got up to like 7%, and then it just went from there. Where it's kind of early. Is it early yet? Really is early. They all declared so early. I mean, if you think about it, in the past, we didn't really get these declarations of candidacy until probably more like towards the springtime. So it is kind of early. So she could. I mean, she could make a name for herself and get out there. But I think there's enough of. I think a lot of people in the Dems will push against her and push out the worst parts of what they say, and some of it being a little bit bullshit, but I mean, they'll push that stuff out because of what of her support for Bernie. So mm-hmm. I think it'll be easier for them to attack Tulsi than it would be Bernie this time around. Is what mm-hmm. I'm thinking.
Okay, so that also leads into the next topic. So if Tulsi isn't that much of a threat, you suspect, to the Sanders campaign, if he's going to be the predominant progressive force going into 2020, I take it you also don't really think that any of the lesser-known progressive candidates are going to be much of a viable force either going into the primaries?
I don't think so, but I mean, it's still like, it's good to promote them, and it's good to get the voices out there, because, I mean, like Andrew Yang, he had, I mean, his policies, I mean, you go to his policy page, he doesn't just say, okay, let's talk about Medicare for all, let's talk about getting, free marriage counseling, let's talk about, going, mm-hmm. Helping people with mental health issues. Like, he like details out every single thing, and that's good. And I think, just writing people off, we don't need to write them off. You know what I mean? Like, if they're bringing up something good, we need to push that, and we need to say, oh wait, this guy has a good idea. Well, maybe mm-hmm. if Bernie is our progressive leader, now we tell Bernie, like, look, why are you looking at this? Why are you talking about this? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's that's specifically what Bernie was trying to do to Hillary when he started. So no, I have no problem with some of the lesser known coming out and putting their voices to this.
Right, a couple of those lesser known candidates' names, by the way, are Andrew Yang and Ryan Farber. Both of them are running on pretty progressive platforms.
Yeah. And Ojeda dropped out, but he would have been a good one too. So, but I mean, there are a lot. Like, I think the problem is that we do, and I've talked a lot about this on chat. that there's a lot of idol worship. Like you have to be able to realize that this person is human. But like you take the stupid tweet last night about, you know, from the Senator Sanders address, you know what I mean, which is his Senate one, not his personal campaign one. But he put that out about, you know, Maduro not accepting the aid. He doesn't really say U.S. It was like, you know, he didn't really say this and that. But it wasn't really the object, and it happened at a bad time because right after, like a couple hours after that, Pompeo comes out and says that they're going to take action in Venezuela. So
right, and unfortunately, I wanted to interject. Bernie Sanders did specifically call for Maduro to allow U.S. aid into his country, which, as we know from previous multiple repeated incidents in the past, when the United States sends our so-called aid, it's ammunition and arms. We're not feeding protesters. This is not humanitarian aid as it's described by the narrative.
And I don't have any love for Maduro. I mean, he has done some bad stuff. I mean, you know, but it's up to them to figure out. And they're getting aid from other countries. They're just not taking our aid, and I don't blame them. I mean, like how many times do you have to watch? You know, even yourself, your own country, but countries around you get bitten in the ass by accepting humanitarian aid from the United States. I mean, at the very least, we need to they should think about calling it something else, so that people don't hit on that it's weapons right away.
Right.
You know, I mean, get a little smarter there if you really want to get in there. But I mean, this is also, maybe they knew he wasn't going to accept it, and this is the reason, because now they can say, well, look, he's not accepting the aid, so now we need to go in there. So that, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're going to get in there one way or another. They're gonna spin the story that they need to overhaul Venezuela's government for democracy reasons. And they're just going to do it.
Right.
Like in a sad. And I know I laugh. I laugh at things. I'm sorry, but it's horrible. It's horrible what we think that we can get away with in this. We don't spread democracy. We create wars. We create, what we want to create, because we want the money. We want people not to be moving towards left ideals.
The oily pockets of democracy.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go. It'll be interesting. The Vernon's doing a town hall tomorrow night, so it'll be interesting. I'm hoping that they do bring this up. He has said that he thinks that Venezuela needs to deal with it on their own, and I agree with that. So I hope that he just goes forward and once the votes come up and stuff like that he shows that he is for Venezuela doing their own thing.
Right. So I did have one more question, one more thing to bring up. Out of curiosity, who do you think is going to be the biggest establishmentarian foe? Who on the right or the corporate wing of the Democratic Party do you think is going to emerge as the biggest obstacle to progressives?
It's definitely going to be. It's definitely Harris. And I see the back and forth. If Joe decides to throw his hat in, he's the bigger name. He's the one that I think the boomers will actually go for. But I think that they're going to push Harris. I have a feeling that they feel they need to get a woman in there. Because of the identity thing, and they don't really care what that woman stands for. Obviously. I don't know why. Like, I would love, I grew up in the 70s and we were told, like, oh, we're going to have a woman president someday. Like, you could be the president. And like, that was the whole like what was pushed in our heads, like
Mm-hmm.
anything boys could do, girls could do better, and stuff like that. Like that's what we were being told in the 70s and in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But then it, I don't want someone that just because they're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I want someone that I want policy.
Right.
I don't care about the person that's giving me the policy. I just want the good policy. That's what I want.
True.
Well,
I appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. All right, you have a nice day.
You too. Bye.
Later. That was Miss Janet. Lumpy Louise, again, as she is known on Twitter. This has been this edition of the Sparx Tribune Report. My name is Devin Jones. I will put a link in the description box below where you can find Miss Janet or Lumpy Louise on Twitter, and the Sparx Tribune. That is Sparx, spelled with an X, tribune.org. You have a wonderful day. Thank you.